All right. Lindsay, you tell me when you're ready, and
Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
ready to go.
All right.
The more time we get, the better.
I love it. Okay, everyone. My name is Phoenix Normand. You may or may not know me. If you don't, that's a problem. But anyway, I have the distinct honor of welcoming Lindsay Robinson, who is a tribe member, which I adore, and also someone who works at LinkedIn, who is, you know, responsible for what I love to call rock the profile, which allows, specifically in this forum, allows us to sort of ask those sort of niggling questions that we have. Everyone, I'm sure we've all sat through every damn LinkedIn profile, um, class, workshop, whatever, over the past God knows how long. But I always love to go to the source. That's one thing you'll have to learn about me. Go to the source, because she or he may know things that we simply don't know, that may be just behind the curtain, just behind the veil, etc. And this is a unique opportunity to have one of LinkedIn's superstars, as well as one of our tribe superstars, to sort of walk us through and tell us, what we need to know to truly make our profiles sing. And the reason I say this, you guys, is more importantly, and something that I've learned over the time that I've been on LinkedIn and also the years that I've been in business, is this profile has to be right. I don't know how else to put that. It has to be right, especially these days, especially as people are looking to network effectively, especially if you're a business owner, knowing how to sell effectively, knowing how to make connections correctly, et cetera, et cetera. So if we know how, the basics of the profile work, and we can understand like how certain things link to the algorithm, all that. Lindsay, I won't put you too far on the spot with a lot of those specifics, but if we know this and we commit it to memory, then as we go through and we look at our profiles, as we help other people sort of improve their profiles, it allows us all to sort of gain from the knowledge of what we're about to experience right now. So, without further ado, Lindsay Robinson, it is over to you.
Thank you, sir. I'm wondering, why did you need me? Because I feel like that was my whole presentation.
Okay, then let's drink then. Anyone have champagne?
Now we can just chat. But yes, no, I'm thrilled to be here. And again, as Phoenix said, like we were joking earlier, how we've been talking for years, but this is kind of our first face-to-face interaction. And yes, I do work at LinkedIn. I've been in EA for, I calculated, 23 years. This year, I know I'm cute. It's hard to believe I'm 43, right? Um, but, and I love talking to EAs because I feel like for me, my two favorite things are encompassed in LinkedIn, which are people and information, right? Like it's an unwritten part of our job that those two things are pretty paramount. And what I found interesting about what you said, just about all the networking and stuff, I'm reading a book for our book club, and one of the quotes that it wants you to answer is, what is it you'll plan to do with this one wild and precious life? And I think honestly, LinkedIn can help you figure that out, right? Like for us, so much of what we do, EAs are not just professionals. Everything that we do is encompassed. We try to separate work and life, and how great are we at that? We're actually pretty terrible. But I think what you'll start to understand today is, I'm not going to give you everything. Much of this you may already know. I just hope you'll take away a few tips and tricks to help you refine, right? That's what we're always doing. LinkedIn is a work in progress, as are you. And it should be utilized and engaged with often. And that's the big key. If you take nothing else away, is you can't set it and forget it, right? Because it's a free platform for much of what we need to do here. Obviously, if you want to use premium, I encourage you. We can talk about that later, but it's not necessary. Maybe if you're job searching, people ask me why. If you're job searching, or if you want to get on LinkedIn Learning, are the two, and you need insights, which are the two big things. And I think if you're a business owner or actively searching, premium may be the right move for you. But generally, the free platform is perfect. So I'm going to take some liberties and say that if you're in Tribe, that you know LinkedIn, and if you know anything about Phoenix, he is an avid user, and I'm sure he encourages this. So I'm going to skip around a little bit. I don't want it to be kind of the basic run-of-the-mill presentation I give many other people. I would like to hold questions to the end, because I feel like it's easier to just get through it, because sometimes we can veer off topic, but drop them in the chat. I'll keep reminding you of that so we don't lose track. And then Phoenix, at the end, if you can help me kind of manage the questions, that would be awesome. So talking a little bit in general about LinkedIn, like we have a North Star, just like everyone else does, and it's creating economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. That's a lot, right? But I think as EAs, what we want to do is kind of create opportunity for everyone around us. And so we all have the same goal, right? And then if we're talking about our mission, it's creating the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. Hopefully you all attending today, this is your goal, right? So we're already reaching that. And it just makes sense to remember LinkedIn is social media, right? Like people tend to forget that. And the main thing that I receive when I ask people about LinkedIn is, ugh. It's like this cringy face. They're overwhelmed. They're not quite sure. And what I've gleaned from that is you feel like you have to be somebody else on LinkedIn, and you do not, right? If you see the things that Phoenix posts, if you see that things that I post, I'm very familiar with Carol's profile. A lot of it is who you are in general as a professional, right? And so things just need to be viewed in a professional lens. And much of what I post is what I call work adjacent. It's the things that prep me for work, right? So I'd say it's 60%, work adjacent, and then 40% actual day-to-day work or talking about work. And so I hope that will take a little bit of the nerves out of posting, but everybody has to make a decision for themselves, right? Like I'm not going to be able to tell you specifically post this or post that. What I want you to glean today is, as we go through the slides, how does this fit into my life? Right? And then go from there and take a little bit of everything that I say and then adapt it to you specifically. Or like I always say, and you're going to hear me say this throughout the profile, go on and look at other people's profiles and then start seeing what they're doing, because it gives you a good understanding of, oh, I didn't realize I could do that. Oh, I do that. Let me talk about this, in that sort of manner. So let's talk a little bit about the differences between the other platforms and LinkedIn. And I think that there's a reason for all of them, right? But you can talk about anything, even donuts. I know it's shocking. Keep me away from the donuts too, especially after these holidays. But we'll talk about, if you're going to talk about donuts, it just needs to be done in a professional manner. On these other platforms, as you'll see here, I'm not going to read them individually, but you'll see what you can do, or the way in which you can discuss donuts, the way it pertains to each platform, right? So if you're going to be on LinkedIn and you just have that professional mindset, you're talking about operating a donut franchise, right? You're talking about working at a donut company, which, oh my God, I can't even think about that. That would be death. Having 3 years of donut making experience, and then obviously getting recommendations for those people that you worked with, right? So the main thing here is you can literally talk about anything. It's just the manner in which you discuss it. So keep that in mind as you go through. And again, it's not so linear, right? It's not work, 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 work. It's work. Oh, what's happening on this side of work? What's happening on that side of work? Oh, there's things above work. There's things below work. The thing that they really encourage us at LinkedIn to do is bring your whole self to work. I know they don't do that everywhere, right? But I think what you'll start to realize is the more the world changes, which is a gift and a curse, as we all know, LinkedIn can be a place, and we have work to do. So I'm just going to put that out there, right? But I think LinkedIn can be a place where you are able to show, all of you and all of the things that make you an amazing professional, right? Because when you go home, you're this person, and then, oh, I'm coming to work the next day. So think about that as we tend to move forward. So just a little bit about numbers. I know everybody likes data. And also I want to make sure that like the world is a really big place, right? And we ain't going nowhere. Like some of y'all are going somewhere because you're in different parts of the world, but I'm in New York, I ain't going nowhere. And so I'm in my house, I did just go to Jamaica, that's different. But, we're in the house and we're not, if I could ask Judith, you're in annotate and you're on the screen. I don't know how that happened, but Judith, get out of annotate. But again, the world is a really big place, and especially right now, we're not going anywhere. And so it's hard to network. Some of us will be looking for jobs. As Phoenix said, some of us will be trying to scale businesses or launch businesses. Some of us just want to get on there and connect, right? Like it's a lonely time. I'm fine being alone, but I found myself in times of being lonely. And your girl is not used to that. I am like social butterfly all over the place, doing all of the things. And so, what this shows you is we have 706 million members that you can connect with on a multitude of topics. We'll talk about groups later, and this changes every 30 seconds, we get a new member. And so every time literally I have to do this, I have to bring it up. They don't allow us exactly to do that, but it goes up every single time. We're talking about networking with 55 million companies, right? And then when we're talking about jobs, it's actually, we're very focused on open jobs right now because we don't want you spinning your wheels, right? And if you are looking for a job, make sure that you're paying attention to when the role was posted. And I'm not going to talk a ton about in jobs here because everybody knows that about LinkedIn, right? Like that's the easy part. And if you do need help on that, happy to connect with you offline, but that's not what we're here to do today. But we're talking about open jobs, right? And so this is what's actually in the pipeline. And if you look at dates, when it's been posted, you'll start to see the way that people post things, and you'll stop wasting your time. Like, oh, that was posted 6 months ago. Don't apply for that job. Apply for the jobs that were posted, within the last 2 months, because those are the ones that are going to be open. Or again, reach out to somebody at the company. We know all those kind of tips and tricks. But then also the skills. So this as an EA is where I think all of us can really take advantage of, right? We do so many things in a day, in a month, in a year. Half the time we don't even know what we're doing. We're just going, going, going. And then we're like, oh crap, I don't even know what I did, right? So when I tell people to update their work experience, they're like, I don't know how to say that. I don't know how to explain what I did. Or if you're job searching, you don't necessarily know how to target your new role. That's where you can use skills, right? We have 36,000 skills that you can research and be like, oh, I do that. Oh, that's what that's called. Oh, crap. I didn't even realize that I did these things and that's what it's called. And it ladders up to this job. So really focus on in the skills. There's a few times here that I'm going to say, that you're going to see numbers on the pages that I present. And that's because LinkedIn has an insights group that they use to help promote some of the things that we're engaged in. And skills is a place that people pay really close attention to, especially now. Why? Because it's the internets and you can lie. Don't do that. Okay. So make sure that you're paying attention to skills and how your skills ladder up. And the other thing I'll talk about is that's how we set ourselves apart, right? So, sure, I'm an EA, that's my title. Think about all the things that you bring to the job through your skills that differentiates you from the next candidate or you from the next person, because with 706 million members and many of them being EAs, or however many EAs you have either in your job, your current department or whatever, we're always trying to set ourselves apart, right? And so it makes sense that that's the best way to do it. Forgive my like very creepy doorbell in the background. I'm just going to ignore that and pray they're going to leave whatever's there. And it's not my rug that I ordered yesterday. We're going to just proceed. And then let's talk about schools. So many of us want to go back to school, possibly collaborate, engage with, get certificates. So many schools, and it's not always the school you went to, right? Like maybe you have aspirations of getting connected with someone at Oxford or Harvard or all these really fancy. Oh my God. Phoenix, can I ask you to vamp for 1 second?
I love to vamp.
Sorry. Give
No
me
worries. No, I get it, girl. Do your thing. Um, I love this. It's so like real life. Real life. What can I tell you? But actually, you guys, when she gets back, I do want to dive into this, especially for those of you that are looking for jobs or potentially just kind of like sniffing around at new jobs, and making sure that those skills actually do show up in your profile and also in the correct way in those in your job descriptions. Because one thing I did notice is as you look for jobs, it will populate how many of like a very specific type of skill that they're looking for. Like sometimes I'll come in at having 50% of the skills. Sometimes I'll come in at having like, 2 of 10, that kind of thing. So we'll hit you up later for that, Lindsay. But I was just describing, especially around those skills and as you're in your job hunt, making sure that you're able to sort of put those in a way that they actually do populate. And you get those good check marks on that, on that, how many of these particular skills do you have?
Yeah. And I say Go to the job description. Like I'll tell you,
Mhm.
cheat all the, and it was my rug, by the way, of course, that was supposed to be
Yes.
delivered at 10 a.m., but
That's
it's
okay.
fine. I'm back. Make sure all the, there's so much information already aggregated in LinkedIn. Don't spin your wheels for no reason. Work smarter, not harder, right? So go to the job description you're looking for, figure out what they're asking for, and then go put, as long as it, listen, don't fib, but as long as it pertains to what you're doing or the skills that you have, go back and revise. It's always going to be a work in progress. Um, and use it, right? Like you're not going to lose it, but it seems so crazy to me to have such a wealth of information in front of you. And because we do so many things in a day and we're asked to, I'm in these chats, the tribe chats and other chats, and the multitude of things that we're asked to do outside of our job description should really be illegal, but it also builds us as people, right? And we're able to take those skills and use them in other professions and also up level. That is, if you know nothing else about Phoenix, it is about the up level and how do you portray yourself as more than an EA, right? Like that's how we start, but how do you use that as a stepping stone? Okay, gonna move on. So we're talking about profiles here. And again, the reason I'm not going to talk so much about job seeking is because today is about refining your profile and making sure that it's refined for you then to go job seek. People do it in reverse, right? It's like, you can't look for the job if if nobody knows what you're able to do. So make sure that your profile is in a really awesome place before you go job seek. Like, what is the analogy? Like, you can't fly the plane as you're building it. Like, don't do that. like build the plane, then fly it. That makes sense. So we'll talk about a little bit about branding here, right? And this thing known as a brand has been a little saturated. It's like influencer. Don't even get me started on that. But we are all a brand. It's just if you choose to buy into it, right? So we all know on the screen who this manufacturer is, who this company is. Nobody has to say anything. So why is that important, right? It's because they have a lineage of a certain quality, character, symbol. It's very easy to identify. And we're able to do that as well, right? But it's more about our character. So for us, character and brand is a little bit interchangeable here. But a brand essentially is its promise, a company's promise to its customer, right? Or again, as I talked about in skills, it's showing how its products are unique from competitors. Apple keeps launching, launching, launching. Nobody else is able to compete, right? Because they're like, oh, we're on to the next thing, even though they've mastered this first product, right? And then they just build on it. So, are you getting the Apple or the Apple AirPods Pro? No, I just got the first ones. Like, who's spending $800? But people are in droves, in lines, right? Like they figured it out. And so when you talk about yourself, let's talk about your brand. And I know it adds a level of, again, overwhelming and a bit, gives you heart palpitations. But essentially, even if you don't want to, you have a brand, right? And so essentially, it's your character, and you must nurture and protect that character, right? You cannot let anybody else do that for you. And LinkedIn is a place where you don't need to humble brag. The whole reason that it was created is for you to brag, right? We do all of these amazing things. How are we going to show people? There's not really a way to do that in any other place. So if you're showing people what they can expect from you, how you're different from the next candidate or employee, right? And then what they can get from, or what they can expect from you as, and I'll say individual. I know we always say employee, but really it's about you as a person. And that's why I encourage you to populate your entire platform and profile, because again, we're whole people coming to work every day. But think about that as we continue on, and how your brand fits into, or how you want to show your brand to the world. That's the best way of starting to go about your profile. So I share this slide, which I think is hilarious. So it was the summer. I was in a little cottage in Montauk, humble brag. Had this amazing presentation with the IAA in London, out of Oxford, and I didn't have what I have now, which is normally my standing desk. And so I was like, literally like, oh shit, because I didn't think that all the way through that I would be there. So I fashioned one. It is my garbage can, my little Wonder Woman mug, my, and everything. This was the most of all the posts that I've put up. This was the most well liked and engaged with to this day. And this is going up posts that I've ever put up. And I've got my dress on, same as I do now. I've got a lip, rouge, and I'm standing over a garbage can. It's a fancy garbage can nonetheless, but all this to say is like, listen, we get it done, right? We make it work. And so the brand is that this is what shows you is it doesn't matter where I am in the world, what I'm doing, I'm going to figure it out. And so people talk about it all the time. And I think it's hilarious because it's like, I thought I was doing some really good things on LinkedIn and y'all talking about this garbage can post. But all it shows you is one, we're human. And I think we need a lot more human on the platform, right? And in life in general. But also like let people into how you are prepping for work, what you are doing to show that you are a no nonsense individual, even though there's nonsense going on. Like it's a very easy thing to do, but I think we get a little caught up in the what people should think or what people want to know rather than how it actually is. I mean, your man Phoenix just be letting it rip. So if you take, the road from anyone, listen, he's been successful because he's been authentic, right? And no one can say, well, he did this over here and he did that over there. And I'll talk a little bit about that shortly, but just know, be who you are and let your brand shine. You have to identify your brand, right? But once you figure that, and it's going to take some work, and that can change also too. Sometimes we pivot one way or another. He's a great example of going over here and going over there, but make sure that it makes sense. So we'll talk a little bit about your profile versus resume. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. I've just talked all about how bringing your whole self to work and, populating your entire LinkedIn profile, showing all of who you are the things that are key to making LinkedIn successful. You can't do that on a resume. Resumes are for one job and one job only, right? And so that is the difference. That's all you need to take away is every time you apply for a job with a resume, it should change. The thing about LinkedIn is you're populating for everything. And so it also should change, but all you're doing is adding. Right? You're just adding, aggregating from all the other places and making it whole here. So when someone looks at this profile, they're seeing the whole person, professional and professionally adjacent. All I'm going to say on that. So I can't believe that I have to say this, but you must add a photo. It is the internet's people. It is a scary place. And I don't care how much you hate taking a picture, you must. And I'll promise you, I accept every EA or everybody with a title of an EA. But if you do not have a picture, I not only don't accept you, but I'm going to roast your hiney. No, like people need to know who you are and they need to know that you're serious about it. So again, use it. I always use my Rock Your Profile presentations to get up, to get dressed, put on a cute outfit, zhuzh the hair a little bit. There's not much, but it does get wild, put on a lip, put on some rouge and just take a selfie. We all can do that. It doesn't have to be professional, but you must put a picture there because people are going to question why you don't. And you're already starting off on a negative foot. So please, please, please put a picture. So when we talk about industry, not a lot to be said here, but essentially what this does is it highlights what you want to be involved in, right? So for me, being at LinkedIn, it's technology. So when I'm searching, things for technology are going to be a little more focused in my profile. And especially if you're job searching or you're looking for brand opportunities or collaboration, this is going to be key because again, as you see here, it's got numbers next to it, which means we're actually putting a little more work into insights and looking for this information to be able to then read out. So, it's not going to have every industry in the world. Again, as I'm in these EA chats, people are talking about solar energy and all of these things. We're getting there. However, if your industry is not populated in here and all you have to do is start typing, a little drop down window will come. We make it pretty easy. But it's something that you should take advantage of. And unfortunately, there can only be one. And so pick the thing closest to either what you're doing now or what you want to be doing. All this ambiguous in the middle, pick it and stick with it because you can always change it, right? Like if you decide next week you don't want to be in computer technology and you want to be in fashion, just change it. Not a big deal. You're not nailed down to anything. But this is important, and a lot of people don't quite understand how to use it. Um, a compelling summary. This is a place where, again, I think brings a lot of kind of tension and confusion. So for me, I think of three easy things: who I want to talk to, or who I want to engage with me, what I want to say or what I can offer, or what I need, and then what the why of those two things, right? And it needs to be in paragraph form. So I think the one outstanding behind the scenes gift I can give you is, do not use bullet points on LinkedIn. The AI little bots that you were talking about don't understand them, and there's no way to read them. And so when you bullet, we've always been taught bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. If you look at my profile, I just had to redo mine. We're realizing that bullet points are symbols. And so there's no way to pull words. So, you want people to read and get engaged. On with you and figure out who you are, and you want them to leave them with wanting more. It's really just a taste. They call it an elevator pitch, but you also need to use enough words for or enough of a paragraph or words for people to be to want to need more. And so think about, when you're doing that, borrow from another person's profile. Then again, you don't want to plagiarize, but use that and then compile and then come back, right? And do it off the platform. Because again, something about doing it on the platform, if you mess it up, you can't spell check it. But the story form and not using bullets, I think, is important. We all want to say, I did this, 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 and this, right? You can do that more in your work experience, because you'll have a little bit more leeway, but you should still start with paragraph form there, because again, this is a computer, right? They're looking for keywords, and that's the way that the technology works. And so if you're not providing words, there's nothing for it to search against. So you may think you have a fantastic platform profile, everything's going right, and you're like, but I'm just not getting the hits that I meant to. We'll talk about hashtags and all that kind of stuff, but it's still social media and still functions in the way of a machine. So it's something to think about. And so arguably the most important place that you need to spend your time is your work experience, right? People are constantly sending me an email or pinging me on LinkedIn. I'm interested in this role. And then I go look at their work experience and it's executive assistant. Ma'am and sir, I don't know what you do, because we're all so different, right? Like, what I do at LinkedIn in my role is completely different, frankly, than what they do over in marketing and communications, and different than what they do. I'm now in online sales, and it's different. Same company, same role, completely different actual skills and skill sets and responsibilities within that role. Take the time, pull it from your resume, or go on another job that maybe is very similar to yours, pull it all over, even for your current position, right? Because I was like, oh, I don't need anything in, under LinkedIn. Like, I'm not looking for a job. But what I realized is, why aren't I? Maybe I want to be. Who knows what's going to reach out to me, And then my boss left. I mean, luckily I was placed, in a new role within the org, but I'm limiting myself. And that's the absolute opposite thing that you want to do here, is limit yourself. So make sure that you're putting all of the information in there. And frankly, here, more is more. Because you can always change it. Again, I still feel like, don't add like retail jobs in there and things that don't make sense to what you currently want to do, unless it was a drastic thing that gave you like, unbounding success and something completely different than what you're doing. But make sure that it's a little bit different, and you want to, it's got to be very different, right? And it makes sense for what you'd want to talk about as you move forward in your career.
Hey, Lindsay, can I just pop in and ask a quick
Sure.
question? I know we're saving questions, but I want to bring this up specifically because I know when I'm either looking, for an executive, for instance, who's looking for an EA or something like that, since I get reached out to a lot, and I experience the exact same thing you're talking about, where I go on and it just says executive assistant, and then I'm like, well, to what degree of an executive assistant are you? There was like no description in any of the job titles. And then they may also may or may not have included a resume. So I think, you know, what's happening is a lot of people are thinking, hey, they're just going to go look at my resume anyway. So they, you know, copy and paste their resume in, or I think you can link it into your profile, but then they don't populate the actual jobs that they've done. So for me, it's just like you just wasted my time because
Well, what's
I don't
gonna
know what the
happen
hell
is
you
you're
do.
gonna move on. You're just
Right,
you're like, "Eh," and you're gonna
right.
move
That's
on.
exactly my reaction.
The whole point is to save time. And it's a place that you can aggregate it, right? So if they wanted your resume, they would have reached out to you and asked you for your resume. And so again, I think that you should have both. Somebody actually asked me for my resume and I was like, oh shit, I gotta do that. But all I did was pull it over, and then I had it within 15 minutes. But I would say your LinkedIn profile should be updated way more often than your resume. There's absolutely no reason to do it because you can just, export it and then move it over. But it's a miss if you don't put your information in there. Because again, I think we as EAs, we do so many different things, and it's all the same title. And even I'm talking to this woman in London, they're called PAs, right? And sometimes it's the same job, sometimes it's not. But you want to take the guesswork out of the information because think about it, you're not the only person that they're looking at, right? And how do you set yourself apart, or at least do the bare minimum, which is what I would say here. And again, sometimes it's hard to quantify all that we do, in the different roles that we have. Again, my new boss, it's the same company, completely different org. He's got 400 globally. And we all know that just because you serve one person doesn't think everybody else can't think that they can call you every day for everything. So I put now serving 400 globally because it makes a difference, right? Like, because also, but I don't work UK hours, so chill. But all of these things, right? Make it easy for people and put as much information in there as you can. And again, as your things change, you should also be changing those because it lets people know that there's growth within the role, right? Not every day, not every week, maybe not even every month, but keep an eye on it. And also with premium, you can see who's looking at you. Go in and do a little research on those people, right? To figure out if maybe you want to reach back to them again, because you never know what can move us forward or move us out of our current positions, because people are always like, oh, what would make you leave LinkedIn? I don't know, but I'm willing to take all meetings. The other thing I think that we miss here too is, if you'll see, I'm going to come onto the screen for a second, you'll see this little thing here. In here, you can add what's called rich media. And so those are pictures, PowerPoints, URL links. We all work on a lot of presentations and should be really proud of our work, right? And this is a place, again, it's just one more level of proof. We can show, we don't, we take the guesswork out of it for people, right? Like we can show, oh, we actually did this. And so it can be a picture of a team building activity that you worked on that you were really proud of, a fundraiser that you did, a deck. Don't put the whole deck in there. 2-3 pages of the deck, we'll get the gist. And also be careful of intellectual property, right? You don't want to be putting company secrets out there and then have your HR person calling you and being like, girl, boy, what are you doing? Just be mindful, but it's really just to give people an extra taste and one more level of proof of like, I am who I say I am, and I'm doing what I say I'm doing. That's one miss that we use, frankly, throughout the entire platform. There's a lot of opportunities to add what we call rich media. So look for it, and I would say, throw it in there. So I'm going to skip a little bit because I don't want to run out of time for questions, but recommendations, right? We're doing everything for everybody all of the time. Write those people down, connect with them on LinkedIn, and then ask for a recommendation. You can write the recommendation and say, hey, I worked with you on this project. I'd love to get your feedback on that. Now, if it sucks, which it won't because we're EAs, you can delete it or hide it, but also give them a little bit to go on. People left to their own devices, some days I'm just like, just take the guesswork out of it, right? Also, ask your current and former EAs, right? Like we understand the value of a recommendation and we're going to give it. And then even if it's been a few years, it's a great way to reconnect with somebody who you maybe are looking to get back in touch with or something like that. But there's a multitude of ways to use it. And I'm actually very crappy at this too, and I've got to fix that. But this is also a place where when people are looking at your profile, they're going to go to, again, is he or she who says who they say they are, Yes, because all of these other people are also saying the same thing. So it's just helping along and giving a little bit of reinforcement where you can.
And I can't endorse that more. I mean, those of you, if you look at my profile, obviously I've got like feels like a million
As you should.
recommendations, but the number one thing that I get comments on is the fact that I have that many recommendations. And people, I've had like big time CEOs reach out to me and saying, "Oh my God, like your recommendations are off the hook. Who are you again, and why are you reaching out to me?" But
Right.
I'm definitely interested in talking. So
True.
it's
True.
the
True.
best tool.
We want to, this is the thing, we LinkedIn does a lot of like I was talking to the admin in trust and safety the other day because I want to understand what they're doing, because as I'm talking to you, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and say that we're doing things that we're not doing, right? But I think what's important is we are actually doing these things, and so we can only do so much on our side to reinforce the trust and safety. We need your help as well, and people need and the recruiters and all the other people looking to connect also need your help. And so that's a great way of just reinforcing, hey, I am who I say I am, and I'm doing what I say I'm doing. Okay, let's talk about connections. Make them, make all of them. Anytime that your bosses email back and forth and they're like, hey, Lindsay, to take calendar. Ooh, Lindsay, who on here, right? All of the people in any of the chats you're in, write their names down and research them. Also, oh, the person that your boss is talking to, who is that? Because he's a level up. Let me check there. Who are all the other people on the chat? Go in there. There's so many ways to do it. I mean, we have great, probably just from our immediate touch, we have great touch points, kind of next to us and adjacent, but you got to look up and you got to look down, right? All the people in the mailroom, go on, connect. What are they doing? How can I, are they having, babies? Are they having, different things that I can support? All of this is about reinforcing your network and your tribe, to figure out how to best do your job and how to best reinforce all the people around you to get wherever it is that you want to get. Because again, it is a professional network, but that's going to mean very different things to everyone. So I can't tell you, one person to connect with, but it's the tools in which the way that you choose your mind to do it, right? So anytime my boss is going, and so one thing I'm disappointed in going to my new boss is that he only functions internally. I'm going to have a lot less external touch points, but I'm going to figure out how to fix that. But anytime that they would put me on an email with so-and-so's EA, boom. And I would just write it in my little, I had like a little list in my OneNote because it's Microsoft company, a little plug there. But do the work, right? And then again, when you're on chats, when you see other EAs, there's a whole, when you connect with one person, there's also people also looked at in the right hand section of it. It's so easy to do it. And the one thing that I cannot stress enough, if you do not know the person, one line of a note. Hi, so-and-so, looking to expand my EA community, hoping to connect, right? For me, I'll always accept an EA, but it does show another level of effort for you to just put a little note in there. Oh, I heard your podcast here. Oh, I saw that you did this, blah, blah, blah. We share A, B, and C in common. You're still asking for something. And so you must use your manners. And I say people forget their manners all the time on the socials. And so don't be one of those people. And if you are looking for something specific, just be honest about it. Call it out, and don't be disappointed if somebody doesn't reach back out to you. We're busy, right? Like all this time people say we have in the COVIDs, who's got the time? I have no time. Like I'm busy. But if someone makes an effort to explain to me what they need, I can very easily say, yes, I can help, or no, I can't. Right. And you should also be discerning in the way that you accept people coming for you, coming to wanting to connect with you. Don't accept everybody, because what happens is everyone that you connect with becomes a part of your platform, and people don't realize that. And so if you're just willy-nilly, accepting everyone, you might have people on there, frankly, who are just not serving your purpose. Right. And we know that it's a very tricky world. And it's still the internet, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that there's no funny business going on, but there's always funny business going on. And so the way that you wouldn't just give your email to somebody or give your phone number to somebody, be a little bit discerning in the way that you accept people. I always say, like, protect this like you protect anything else, because there's still personal information in here, right? And there's still hackers and all these kind of weird things. So do a little bit of due diligence on your side, and I think that'll work wonders. Plus, actually, what I should say is it also can help you with content, right? Like, I'm looking at Phoenix's stuff and I'm like, oh, I can repost that. And because he's talking about the same things I am. So I just add my little spin to it. And in terms of content, which we'll talk about in a second, you know, posting individual content as opposed to reposting someone else's content, there's no difference. One is not better than the other. It's really about engaging, right? And making sure that what you are posting, no matter if it's original or not, makes sense for your brand. And so we'll go back to the brand thing,
Although, and
right?
you know me though, I'm gonna be like spanking asses with regard to posting original content, please. Especially when you guys have these amazing
All right.
viewpoints. And I think 100% you should be posting original content
Right.
alongside
I was gonna
alongside.
say, because you're not gonna have that 3-4 times a week, right?
No,
And you really should be posting that. So
once
I
a month.
think, right, when you have it, absolutely. Like I'll post after today, speaking with you all and how excited I was about that. And then, things will come from that. And you all are really the elevated people that I talk to and the people who really are doing amazing things in the community. And it's gonna draw people to you. And it's also gonna empower others. Like, oh, I either did that or I could be doing that. We're all leaders in our field, right? Like, I think sometimes we tend to forget our power. We have this information power, and that's something I learned very early on in my career. And I started just using it. Like I used to lead from behind the desk. Now I'm like, I ain't sitting at this desk no more. I'm out of here. But it took me a little while to get there. And I know we're all not as confident, as some of our other EAs in this field. To go ahead and make sure that we're posting this original content, make an effort, and then the other thing that you need to know is, LinkedIn doesn't always have the same engagement that you have on other platforms because people are thoughtful. You have to really give them something to respond to, and that's what I'm talking about here is like, whether it's going to be an update or publishing. And actually, I don't even talk about publishing to many of the other people I present to, but this group has things to publish. You'll also hear it spoken about as thought leadership. And it's essentially your thesis, right? Like this is something that's going to live on there, something you own. Not something that you republish, and it belongs to you, and it should be from an expert's opinion, an expert point of view. And we're all experts on a multitude of shit. Like, let's be honest, right? We all have so much knowledge. I can't tell you what that is because we're all individual, but you for sure have it. Take a stab. The thing is, it does live there. So make sure your punctuation is right and your grammar is together and your links are updated, but can't hurt to try. And if it doesn't work for you, then cool. But don't take people not engaging as a sign that you shouldn't just keep at it. Like again, that one post that I posted, I thought, 5 other things that I had done were 10 times more amazing than that. And I'm like, this is what the hype about. But people also like knowing about the person and how that person feels who's posting, right? Like pictures of me or something I'm doing get way more engagement. There's still a message there, right? Like we have to make it work adjacent. But again, put some thought into it and think about the community in which you're pitching to, because this isn't for us. This is for everyone else, right? This is for our network. And that's why your network has to be curated. Skip around a little bit again, because we're running out of a little bit of time. So just some things, these damn transitions. Think I didn't make the slide. Think about all these things, right? And they're mostly self-explanatory, but what I will tell you is the consistency, like you must use it. Like I can't stress that enough. Even if you're just going on and commenting on other people's information or your anything that you can do. I think that the thing I've been doing lately, which has been getting a lot of traction, is starting a conversation. It's really just a question, either pre, middle, post. I feel this way. How do you feel? And then people feel like, oh, I feel like this. And again, if something funky goes on in there or something goes awry, please report it to me or report it to the platform, because that's absolutely not what we're trying to accomplish here. And I know, like, frankly, just as a Black woman, like sometimes people come at me sideways and I'm like, delete, like not happening, right? It's going to happen, but I don't have to accept that. And you don't have to accept that either. And that also comes, back to what I said about curating your network. make sure that the people that are mainly seeing your things are people that it makes sense for them to want to see your things, right? And that's why you have to curate a little better. Mentioning others, my hashtags are ridiculous. Don't pay attention to mine. They're literally for like shits and giggles. And I use the same like 3 every time. But hashtags, you can actually go into in your top left-hand corner next to the inbug. You can search hashtags and then see the engagement on that hashtag. And so if you really want a lot of engagement, it's like throw a hashtag in there that already has 1 million followers, and already you're going to get more engagement than you're used to. And we've talked about rich media. So make sure that you're using rich media, in and around. Words are great, right? People like to see things. So even if it's a GIF or whatever, I mean, sometimes also, as you see, the content matters. So use a balance, right? All right. So again, I'm not going to talk about job searching on here. If you are job searching and you want to talk about it, please let's connect separately, especially in this time. I would love to give a little bit more curated information on that and how to do it, because it's tricky.
Lindsay, I'm going to hit you up for that one more time, probably for that in a separate video, because it's definitely necessary.
Okay. Well, I mean, and we can talk about it. So look at, I mean, I got the slide, we might as well. I'll focus on the other stuff later, but listen, if you're searching for a job right now, you can't just kind of throw your profile up there and wait. You must be active. And by active, I mean, doing all of these things, setting career interest, looking at the opportunities, going in and searching a multitude of different job titles: executive assistant, administrative assistant, chief of staff. Like, throw it all to the wall, right? And see what sticks. And then the most important thing to do is these search alerts, right? I'm jump on the screen. I know everybody hates it, but these search alerts do the work for you, right? And then you get a curated and focused email each week of what's available. Again, you're going to need to spend some time and figure out what's open, when it was posted. The interesting thing that people don't pay attention to: how many other people applied for that job? Listen, if 500 people apply for that job, you probably ain't gonna get it. Move on to the next. You can do it, but don't put your hopes there and be like, well, I applied for 5 jobs today, I'm good. Like, you need to be applying for 500 jobs today, especially if you're looking, right? But then I'm gonna jump over here. Use the company's page if you're really passionate about a job to go in and deep dive on that company. Who can you talk to at that company? What else are they doing? Are they posting anywhere else? Is there a job fair I can go to? You have all these little things over here to tell you a ton of things about your job. I typically say, your company. I typically say you can also use this to inform your shopping, right? Like, I use a lot of this to inform my shopping. So I want to understand what they're doing, if they're having events, if they're doing new brands. I'm like a fitness enthusiast and I love tights. So always trying to figure out that little stuff. But the main purpose to use this is, how can you better yourself as an employee for this specific company, right? And then the second thing that you should be doing is joining groups. I mean, tribe is invaluable, right? There are definitely other places that you can search in addition to. And so make sure that you're getting on. And again, it's this little thing here, this little search bar. Start throwing things, and it doesn't have to be specifically professional, because as we all know, like, our friends are the homies and bring us the opportunities, right? Those are the people that can actually be your best, besides yourself, be your best advocates to be like, oh, hey, I know you like this job is open, here you go. And so the more group, and we're not going anywhere, I will reinforce that, y'all shouldn't be going anywhere. So joining these groups allows you to be another level of social safely and professionally. But again, I know there's like, Knitters United and like whatever else on here. So it helps just build community, because at the end of the day, it's personal, but it's also, it's professional, but so much of this becomes personal. Like, listen, we spend so much of our time at work that if you're only, being this one person all the time, there's no way to really garner joy from that. So think about that. Also, host a group on there. If that's not something that you've done, start a group on there. If you can't find whatever nuanced random thing you're doing, get on there and start a group, because I'm sure there's like at least 100 other people around the world, 706 million members. So just something to think about. The last thing I'll talk about, it's just near and dear to my heart because a lot of my friends work in the editorial department and I'm obsessed with our podcast. We have two, Hello Monday, and This Is Working with our editor-in-chief, Dan Ross. I stalk them both. But we do have those podcasts and they're very easy listens, but it gives you real nuance into, the people who really have done it and the people who failed. We all know that that's the most, they ask really insightful questions in and around business. Girl, J-Lo walked through the halls one day, I almost damn near fainted. I was like, J-Lo, tell me your ways. But it's people, it's everybody, right? It's like entertainment is her job. And people forget that. And as many know, I worked at the NBA for many years. People forget like basketball is the job for many of these guys. It was my job. And so it's fun, but it's still work. So get on our news site. You can use it in so many of these things. We're also a bit more political for obvious reasons right now, but it's a safe method of getting news that has been vetted. And none of those fake news shenanigans going on. And that's not a shade. It's just that they work really, really hard to make sure that they're not caught up in that. Right. So with that, I'm going to end. I know it was a lot. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see all your beautiful faces. Okay.
Love it.
I know I didn't leave a lot of time and I do have a little bit of extra time after because I do have questions, but Phoenix, how do you want to, you let me know how you want to.
Let's, actually, you guys you're adults, unmute and pop on in if you have a question.
Hey, Lindsay, I do have a question. I've been trying to get my peers on LinkedIn and it doesn't always work. But what would you say is the most undervalued or underutilized part? There's the stuff we all know, but I'm guessing there's hidden gems that maybe we devalue that really we should value more.
Honestly, it's utilization. It really is. It's like getting on there, even if your profile isn't kind of up to snuff, right? It's going on and figuring out, doing your own audit, so to speak, and figuring out what is successful for other people. But really, this is a totally individualized site. And so there is something for everyone on there, right? Like many of us might be out of work, but we're all professionals. And so, I think what is missing is just because I don't have a job, right? Even many of my friends are stay-at-home moms. And they're like, well, what do I need LinkedIn for? Girl, you got the hardest job. And she's, you can go on and talk about all of the skills you're developing as a mom. You're doing, my one friend used to be an event planner. And so of course, when she became a stay-at-home mom, she's doing all the PTA meetings, she's doing the fundraising events, she's doing, all of these things that as a professional, you would be paid for. And then other people can garner from your failures, successes, challenges, all of these things. So don't minimize what you can bring to the platform because you're afraid nobody cares. Somebody cares. And it should be important to you, right? So it gives you an outlet to show I'm at home, but I'm doing all these things. I mean, I think we realize we can accomplish a lot at home. So to me, that's one of the biggest things. And then the constant engagement, just getting on, linking, I was gonna say friending. Oh my God, kill me now. Linking with new people and figuring out what others are doing in the world that you may have interest in and figuring out either how they got there, if you can chat with them about it. Don't do the whole pick your brain thing. Nobody likes that. But there's a way to there's a nuanced way to do it. And it's, hey, I'm looking to do this. I've done the following. Would love your feedback on that if you have time. But again, you can't take those sorts of things personal. But yeah, get on and engage. Yeah, I mean, you just do your own little rocket profile for your peeps. I'll give you the presentation. It's easy.
I did it last year. I need to do another one.
And the other thing is, listen, it's not for everybody, right? Like I got all the friends in the world that want to put everything in their Instagram stories and everything on their Facebook. No shade, do it. But you're not going to get the same sort of engagement there that you are here. And so that's why, frankly, we all need like a social media strategy, right? I'm not on the TikToks. I don't know what to do over there. I don't know what's happening, but I also don't care. So people send me what I need to know. My focus is LinkedIn for my personal and professional. Occasionally Instagram, the stuff will go on my stories. my professional stuff, because I want like my extended network to know that I'm doing Rock Your Profiles, etc. But that's for fitness. Like that's for fitness and fun. Anybody else?
Love it.
What about your headline? So I've heard like mixed things, like it shouldn't just say executive assistant in your headline. It should say something like fun and catchy. What are your thoughts on what a good headline should look like?
Agree. It definitely should not just say executive assistant, because you're not just an executive assistant, right? That's your job title. That's not who you are. And so I think and I left it kind of generic. I have to start taking my own advice, right? So I think, fun and catchy is dependent on what you want to say about your brand. I think it just needs to be authentic, right? Like right now I have something like people pleaser, solution seeker, and fit fanatic, right? Like people will go in and know that I'm an executive assistant. I don't have to tell them that, but they won't necessarily know the other things, and it'll give a touch point and a reason to ask me a question. But again, if you're think about your brand, and again, that's going to take some work for some of us, because I realize that it's not just as easy as being like, oh, I am this and I want to show this. But also, I'm going to tell you again, go look at what other people are saying. Somebody did like calendar ninja and all. I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to use that. So do a little bit of work first before you change it, and then find something that you feel comfortable putting out there, and then utilize that. I just think it's a miss. You literally, I hate telling anybody anything, but I do think it's a miss if you're not if you're not being thoughtful around it, right? Because we're smart, like we have so much to offer. We're doing so many things.
And I won't lie, mine changes pretty much weekly.
Well, because
every week I change that shit. One, because I want to know who's following, to be honest with you. And then two, I might feel slightly different one week than I do the week before. I'm still kind of saying the same thing. I'm just being a little bit more quirky or a little bit more in your face or whatever else, just sort of depending on my mood. Or for instance, if I'm releasing an article and I want that article to sort of like in a weird way link to, if they read the article and then they start doing their due diligence on me, there's like some, some cross-pollination, right?
Continuity.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. I always just say pilfer, go again, find some people that you respect or are in a line of, in a role that you'd want to be in or is similar to yours. And then, see what they have to say and then bring it over, and then always you just search synonyms and acronyms and, it's like a little bit of a puzzle. But none of this should be that serious. We're not doing brain surgery here. So I want you to, I do want you to have a little bit of fun with it. And that's why I always try to remind people, like, it's work, but still you. So even if you are serious, like, that's fine. But I want to take the anxiety away from it.
Lindsay, I do quite a lot of posts. Sorry, Adele. I do quite a lot of posts, so I'm quite comfortable on LinkedIn. But I just wanted to know the reach part. Like, I feel like, how do you kind of get a wider reach if you're kind of getting kind of the same number of people viewing it? So you're talking about hashtags.
Yeah.
And I think there is a function somewhere where you can, I was trying to catch that.
Yeah. Let me show you. And again, these are things that I'm an employee, but I'm just learning. So I'm going to share my screen again quickly here. So everybody can see my screen? Forgive for all the other things up here. So here you can search hashtags. And when you go into, I think this is how you do it. Yeah, see how it says 86 followers?
Yeah.
So what you can do is when you start to add a hashtag, you can see how many people follow that hashtag. So already, maybe ad collar everywhere, which is shocking because that was just a huge event, but yeah, not doing their job. But you can check the hashtags to see how many original followers it has. Or you can just kind of, and again, it doesn't have to be that one specifically, but maybe you take away a word and then that populates an additional extra. The other thing is going into groups and being part of a group and then posting within those groups, right? Because they're going to have their own set of followers. And then also sometimes posting on company websites, because if you're talking about something a company is doing or a company is known for, they're going to have their own unique viewership. So those are some of the things that you can do. And then again, just continue to advance your network. Go on, people who have a big following and engage with them, right? Or ask them to repost for you. All of this is it should be engagement, but there also should be some like reciprocity, right? Like you do for me, I do for you. And it should be, that's where the connection is from, because then they won't have a problem asking you later. And I mean, some of the things that you're posting are really fantastic and should be seen by a big audience. So asking people to assist you in doing that, like I would have no problem kind of reposting some of the things you do. It just, with the way the algorithm is, it's like I might just miss it.
Yeah.
But that's it. Keep at it. People are going to see it more.
Okay. Cool.
Adele?
And Lindsay, just on that hashtag thing too, I think that you can, when there's a post and people put hashtags, you can click onto that hashtag that then takes you to the where you can connect and follow it, right?
Yes, but I think if you're looking for more engagement, then you'll want to start with the ones that have higher viewership within that, because a lot of times, like I said, I'm using silly ones that I think make sense for me. I don't care about it, but when LinkedIn Life, for example, has obviously a huge viewership because we have, I don't know, 16,000 employees. So, I'm getting a lot of engagement, but it's going to be my fellow employees. And so, I tag EA Life, that's going to maybe have a different set of people, still professional, but there's so many ways to do it, that I say utilize all of them. And that's why you have to keep messing with it. Oh, I didn't realize that this happened. And, we're changing the platform so rapidly that if you're not engaging, it's just like anything else, it's just going to pass you right by. So, and that's where the news also is helpful, right? Because LinkedIn will start saying, oh, this new feature, pages, or, this for if your company uses it, this, Sales Navigator has added this plugin, like, the news is helpful, and that can just be in an email. You select for an email, and then it goes right to your inbox. Thank you for that.
Lindsay, I just wanted to say thank you firstly for a great session, and thank you, Phoenix, for organising this. It's been amazing. One thing I thought, which I tried, and I got a lot of sort of private messages about, is that with my name, I've actually added in that section igniting neurodiversity. So it's part of my actual name. So I've noticed that a lot of people have said, oh, tell me more about that. Now, I wasn't sure whether I should be putting that in or whether it's a negative or a positive, but for me, it worked. And I just wanted to ask one more, if I may. I've noticed that I'm getting more people, instead of connecting with me, they're saying they can't connect, they can only follow. And I don't know whether that's because I'm not a premium member, and if there's a way of getting around that.
How many connections do you have?
Over 4,000, I think.
You're at the limit. So as a private member, I think it's about 4 something. You've obviously hit the limit. But and Phoenix, do you know this? I actually don't know as a premium member. I think the limit is the limit.
It is. The limit is the limit. I thought originally it was 5, but then I got cut off at like 4,200 or something like that. So yeah.
So for someone like you, Adele, I'm sure that you've got some stragglers in there. Do an audit, go in, do 10, 15 people a day when you have time, because what you're probably missing out on are current people who really would be beneficial for you to have in your platform. And if you've been a member a long time, many of us have been members and just started connecting with people whenever, wherever, however, back in the day, and we've really never done an audit. And so for people I say who've been on the platform for some time or did something and had a quick surge, you must be discerning about who's going on your platform. There's probably 1,500, 2,000 of them. You're going to be like, you know, and if they want to come back in and you're important to them, they will, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but this is yours. You should be in charge of it. But also, I mean, the follow is not bad. There's just a connection. You know, you can't converse, which is tricky.
No.
So, and I see that. I wanted to look on the igniting. I don't even know what neurodiversity is, and we need a conversation on that because it's here. But I don't see a problem with it. I think it sets you apart. I think it's great. I love the little puzzle piece that you put in there. I think it's one more thing again that sets out, and it's clearly a part of your brand. So kudos.
Well, thank you. And I was going to say something else, but I completely forgot. I think the Alzheimer's hitting me. I need another coffee, and I can see Phoenix eyes rolling.
Not even allowed to joke about that shit.
Listen, if it's not written down, I know this presentation in and out, and I still use note cards, like just to make sure that your girl is on key, because I could go way over there very easily. But yeah, of course. Anyone else?
Here's your chance. Top.
Bueller.
I actually remembered.
Hey, me again. In regards to the photo, now I know you've mentioned you need to have a.
Yes. Am I the only one that can't hear her?
No, you're not the only one. I think we may have
Then
lost.
you.
There we go.
Oh, have you got me now?
Yeah, we got you now.
Oh, cool. So it was just about the photo. So I know everyone needs a photo, and in my opinion, it should be a professional one. But you've mentioned that your profile should also represent you. And so some people may have a bit of a glam sort of image as their LinkedIn photo, which I sort of don't think is really professional, but it kind of maybe goes against what you've just mentioned, that it's kind of representing you. And if someone wants to present themselves like that, then that's up to them. What do you think about that?
I mean, again, we're all individuals, and to Phoenix's point, we're all adults. So I guess it would be the level of glam, so to speak. I know people that come to work looking like they go into the club, you know, like that's just who they are and what they do. Would it be me? No. What I do think is most of us have great cameras on our phones. I think that, you know, putting your best foot forward is never a bad idea. What I do advise against are animals in the shot, puppy dog ears. I don't know, shit coming out your mouth. Like, stop that. Stop it. None of that. No filters.
Right.
But I think, a red lip is not bad. If you have what I do, listen, if I'm talking to the women on the chat, let's not be provocative, right? I think there's a difference between glam and provocative. Even if that's what you're selling, we at LinkedIn do not promote that. And so I think you can be confident, and I think that you can even be attractive and not be provocative. I think we all know what I'm trying to say here. I feel fantastic in this dress, and nothing is showing. I have earrings on, I have a lip, I put a little rouge on. You can be up, I think if you have the opportunity to have a professional shot, mine happens to have been professional. He was in the office that day. I ran over, tracked him down, made him take a picture. But up against, I have a white wall behind me. Oh, hi, cutie. We love guests. It should be, to your point. I don't know if maybe I'm misinterpreting. I'm thinking when you say glam, I'm thinking provocative, and in that I would agree with you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. A bit of a pout and a bit of a shade.
So one of the things that you guys, I don't know if I have to tell you this because I thought I've already said it. Every single photo that you see of Phoenix Normand took. Every last one of them.
Yeah, these iPhones and
iPhones are amazing. Even when it looks like, I have a professional photographer. No, I just have really long, freakishly long arms, and I'm able to take a photo, and still do my pout glam look away and all this other stuff. And then I think it was, oh my God, I can't remember. I can't remember. Anyway, but the filter, the remove.bg is heaven. I use it all the time. Because what it does is it literally will take and remove the background from your photos. I mean, if you have, even if you have long hair, because I know a lot of you that have had to try to do that yourselves in Photoshop, it's a nightmare. But like, even if you've got like wispy pieces of hair, it'll remove anything in between those pieces of hair, which is fantastic. So, I mean, there's all kinds of technology out there. Yes, you might have to Frankenstein it, but you have absolutely no excuse to do a good photo. Find yourself a white wall with some natural light, preferably. Take 60 pictures, you know, go through, pick the top 15, put that shit through remove.bg, and then find the one that feels right. Look online, look on LinkedIn. Don't forget, you're putting it in a circle so you can, you know, kind of camouflage a lot of stuff behind you. But again, I can't believe this is still a conversation because it drives me crazy, especially when I
talk about this
assistants that have, you know, these amazing job descriptions, and then they put some bunk ass picture on their profile. It just ruins the whole
And look,
professional.
I don't want to discount, you know, I'll just share amongst tribe members. I just did a presentation with the Little People of America, and for obvious reasons, many of them feel very self-conscious about putting their picture on there. But it is a part of you. It is who you are. And on some level, we need to be confident in who we are and project that, right? We're asking people for things. We're showing who we are. But I think it's going to mean different things to different people. But a picture, you know, the other thing is it can't be from 10 years ago. It needs to be present. I know many of us have gained a few. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, you know, but it really should be present. The one miss that is happening is the banner in the back of your background, in the back of your picture. Make that the fun picture, you know, make that the passion picture, you know, but your headshot should be a headshot. Yeah. Anybody else?
Last chance. People are busy.
I gotta go down this Peloton bike before I lose my.
Look here, I'm about to go on my walk, and then I gotta go to the warehouse. Ugh.
Right, let me go get on this bike.
Exactly. All right, let's call it then.
Okay.
You guys, thank you very, very much, everyone, for attending. Lindsay, thank you so much for taking time out of your day off to, you know, to brief us on some very important stuff. I mean, I think we should all, after this call, when we have time, when we have a glass of wine in hand, of course, is go on and really look at our LinkedIn's and really sort of see and do some comparing and contrasting. Feel free to pop mine open. Definitely pop Lindsay's open. You know what I mean? And just get a general sense of what it quote unquote could/should look like, and start making some of those little incremental changes to your own so that it feels more complete and more in, you know, in telling your story in a more comprehensive way, as opposed
about
to
a ton of things on there, right? Volunteer experience, project, language, like all of those things are part of your brand, right? And when I say I'm here for you, like, you know, connect. If we're not connected, please connect with me. And I'm more than happy to spend, you know, either a chat session. Again, we can do a follow-up. There's, you know, there's no way that I can reach everything. And sometimes you have to scale to like what's generic and what will make the most sense. But happy to connect with anyone who needs kind of a little bit of a more focused session.
Fantastic. And we'll do another one. Lindsay, I'll hit you up once again, but I think we'll do another one that's very, very specifically focused so that we can really just knock through, you know, something that that probably surfaces all the time that we may or may not have, you know,
I would love that. I mean, and I see, you know, and again, because we have a more diverse and international audience here, I think I could learn a lot from you. And then if there's things that I can take back to the peeps, because there actually are people who are working on these things, happy to do that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you, everyone. I love my tribe, as you know, and thank you, Lindsay. And we will catch up soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.